I'm walking down Lower Union Street, and I'm here to check out the scene of a movie that's being made. Turning the corner here, going on to North Church Street now. The scenes are being shot for an HBO film entitled Muhammad Ali's Greatest Fight. And look at the cars. It's going to be a pretty sizable production as we walk along the street, and we'll see what's happening. This is the First Reformed Church, and it looks like it's wardrobe and changing area, staging area.
Oh my gosh, that's all I need. Straight rate.
I'm here on Front Street. This is going to be the actual street that will be seen in the film, with some of the houses being shown. Here's Don Rittner, film commissioner.
Architectural district, and very much parts of it look like Georgetown down in Washington DC. So it's much cheaper to shoot it here than to go to Georgetown. But for us, it's a good economic benefit because they're hiring about 70 local people who are participating.
Let's keep talking about that economic impact for the city. I know that the other movie, the one with Ryan Gosling, was great, and let's talk about like.
Well, last year for 3 months we had. You know, the place beyond the pines, Ryan Gosling, Bradley Cooper, they were here for about 3 months. So they dropped about $2 million in the local economy. And we had a couple episodes from Discovery Channel was here also last year. They didn't get much coverage. But again, each production comes in and they stay in our hotels, they eat food, they hire local people. So it is an economic venue. What we're trying to do with the Film Commission is try to get 2 or 3 good-sized movies to come into Schenectady and shoot here because it really would be good for our economics.
And talk about this building that's kind of the focus, if you wouldn't mind.
Well, this is the Governor Yates building, which was built in the early 19th century. So it's a beautiful building, and if you've been to Georgetown, you'll see a lot of buildings that look like that down there. So this is a really good representation of what Georgetown would look like.
And how does it feel being able to see, all these antique cars and just having the Stockades be a focus for a movie like this?
Well, an old-timer like me, I actually remember when Muhammad Ali was fighting the draft. So I remember those days. I remember all the demonstrations. So it's kind of like a flashback. But it's great to see this, and it's great to see movie making in Schenectady, the capital district. Again, I think you'll see more and more of it coming down the pike.
And let's talk about the prep work and all that goes into this.
Well, that's the thing. For example, the Pines movie last year, we actually started negotiating with them in January. And it took about 6 months just to get them here. And then, of course, it takes all that prep to get here. You're talking 40, 50 truckloads of equipment. You're talking 150 crew on that We hired about 2,000 local people, got in that. So there's a lot of preparation. You know, you sit back and you watch the HBO special for an hour and you think, oh, that was great. People don't realize the hundreds of people that it takes in order to put a production like this together. And you're talking about a lot of creative people.
And what about this one specifically, the prep work here?
Well, this wasn't as bad because HBO sort of has their act together, so they knew exactly where they went right from the start. So we mostly were helping them with logistics, you know, getting the police, fire protection, that kind of stuff. So mostly logistics here.
And the Albany Film Commission had talked about how it's so easy for movies to be made here because the Film Commission takes care of everything. They're so welcoming. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, that's the bottom line. What we try to do is make it really easy to shoot movies here. So we do a lot of the prep work. We try to, in our case at Schenectady, we get a lot of the locations. Normally a production has a location manager. They go out and they scout out stuff and they have to go ask. But what we do is we do a lot of that for them. So they'll call me and then tell me basically what the movie's about, what they need. And I'm also the city and county historian, so I kind of know where everything is. So they say, well, I need an 85-foot waterfall, so you know, I know where to go. And so that makes it a lot easier for them. So we do like the original, sort of the beginning location scouting for them. And then they go and pick out what they want. And then we further talk to the people that own it. We try to get the location for either free or low cost. So we try to save them money too. And again, we try to help with anything they need. We try to make it really easy for them to shoot here.
And what about the cars? Did any of the cars come from the Schenectady area as well?
Well, there's lots and lots of antique cars, but they took care of that as well too. But we were ready. If they needed our local cars, we had them.
And any future movies you can talk about?
No, but there are some future movies coming. So we're only a couple hours from New York City, which is, you know, New York and LA are the big production capitals. And and they're putting a second rail in between Albany and Schenectady. So in a year or two, it's going to cost, or it may take an hour and a half to get from here to New York. So you're going to see a lot more production people looking up here to come and shoot because, number one, logistically it's easier and it's less expensive.
Can you tell us a little bit about what the action is going to be like today?
Well, this is more like background. So you're going to see a lot of people going in and out of that building. So that's kind of, I mean, you're not going to see, I don't think you're going to see any protests, stuff like that. It's going to be a little more sort of a laid-back production here in Schenectady tonight.
Any big actors going to be on set?
I can't talk about those kind of details. So.
Anything else? All right, thank you so much.
But if you stick around, we might be able to see. Well, I mean, again, the producer's going to be here at 4. So
yeah, I'm sticking around.
Yeah.
Is that far from where I was?
Rehearsal's up. Quietly, please. Quietly, guys. Quietly, please, guys. Alright, just wait up.
Thanks. If they ask you, I'll just get they have something even bigger.
This is torture. I'm going to say, in my opinion, I felt tortured.
Looking for me? Don, do you see her?
Tell me about the process of getting a production like this into the city.
Well, it varies depending on the production. Like, for example, last year with The Place Beyond the Pines, I actually started talking to them in January. It took about 6 months to convince them to come here. And then once it came here, we helped in, casting and finding a location and stuff like that. In this case with HBO, they sort of have their act together, so they knew exactly what they wanted. So we really more or less helped with logistics, with police getting, closing off streets, stuff like that. So they really had most of the stuff they wanted to do, already taken care of. So it depends on the production, really. But we try to make it as easy as possible to shoot a movie here, because it's an economic development engine. Pines dropped about $2 million last year in the local economy.
What will this one do?
Well, there's only a day or so, but you're still talking thousands of dollars. They hired 70 local people, as extras to work on, as crew members. They eat here, they stay here. I mean, so again, every little bit counts, especially, in the city which is hurting financially.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, great. And yesterday's show is over now. There's something else.
I know. So it generates a buzz.
Definitely.
But it also generates money, income.
That's great.
And hopefully we get more and more, coming in. So.
What's the producer's name?
Scott Ferguson.
Okay, great. We'll get a crack at it.
He'll be here at 4.
Don, what's the house? I mean, I know this is the Yates house, but what's it supposed to be in the movie?
This is supposed to be Georgetown, and this is, I think, the apartment where one of the justices, I think it was clerk with.
Okay.
But again, when you talk to the producer, he can give you all the details.
All right.
Let's see if I can find them.
Okay, thanks, Don.
Welcome to our world. We need to move this car. The equipment's in the way. I love you. Goodbye. Hello.
88 and
Please, 25 cents.
Guys, good morning, good morning. Hello, good
Please,
morning.
take no cents. Take your gear and move it. Don't cut yourself on the bagel knife. Here's the third part of the safety meeting. Don't eat the fish. And here it comes, guys. Action, Dimitri.
That's the director trying to finish a scene with Christopher Plummer, an Oscar-winning actor working in the stockade section, with neighbors looking on from just a few doors away. Just the size of the crew impressed one couple.
Cut. From the time they dropped the cherry pickers off this morning, mountain lights on cherry pickers and stringing wire, and
it's been fun to watch. I think most of the neighbors have had a wonderful time watching it, don't you?
When the audience watches the film, they'll be looking at Front Street, but they'll believe they're looking at Washington, D.C., Georgetown. The producer says they looked all over New York State for the perfect spot.
The right kind of colonial era architecture in New York State that would double for Georgetown, and we kind of did a journey up the Hudson, crisscrossing the bridges, and we found the perfect place right here in Schenectady.
The shoot began around 4 o'clock and was expected to go as late as 4 in the morning. One extra from Nassau said he would wait as long as it takes.
Yesterday was 14 and a half hours. I'll bet you the greater percentage of the time was spent waiting.
Unlike the months-long shooting schedule for The Place Beyond the Pines, this crew is working only one day in Schenectady. Scenes shot in Albany Thursday will appear to be in front of the Supreme Court building. There's no date set for when HBO will show the movie. Craig Smith, CBS 6 News.
Last night at this time, we were telling you about ENCON officers shooting and tranquilizing a black bear in Schenectady's historic Stockade neighborhood. Well, tonight, something else entirely different is being shot, a movie. Actors, crew members, and extras are still on the streets right now, shooting under some bright lights. News Channel 13's Dan Levy has the story live from Schenectady for us tonight. Good evening, Dan.
Good evening to you, Jim. The Stockade neighborhood dates back to pre-colonial days, to the mid-17th century, 1661 to be exact. But tonight it's dressed up to resemble the Georgetown section of Washington, D.C., circa 1971. Roughly 2 centuries ago, this old colonial home at number 17 Front Street in Schenectady was owned by New York Governor Joseph Yates. As a modern-day movie set, it belongs to Supreme Court Associate Justice John Marshall Harlan, even though in real life...
My dad bought the house in 1941.
Priscilla Goshi has lived there most of her life. On Friday night, she's on the outside looking in on the making of Muhammad Ali's greatest fight, an HBO movie being shot literally on her front doorstep.
It's very exciting. We're very thrilled. We've had a lot of fun. They painted our door green instead of black. They painted the interior of the foyer gray.
Movie crews began setting up late Friday afternoon, and scenes were being shot right around dinner time. The man in the green suit is actor Benjamin Walker, who portrays a Supreme Court clerk in the movie. Stockade residents seem more than pleased to be taking it all in.
I mean, I like the movies a lot, but seeing the backdrop and seeing how it's produced and put together and all the amount of effort that it takes, the amount of people, I think is pretty interesting.
Also interesting is how the New York City-based production company, with a crew of about 160 people plus another 150 locals who were hired, wound up in Schenectady.
We wanted to find another place that had a sort of a Georgetown colonial architecture look, and we started looking up the Hudson River, and we found the perfect place right here in Schenectady.
So economically, it's a big shot in the arm.
Local historian Don Rittner serves as a volunteer for the Schenectady Film Commission, whose mission is to lure movie making to the area.
But we probably had close to $3 million put into the local economy, and that's just in Schenectady.
And this movie has an all-star cast as well, star-studded cast. Among the people in the movie, 2 Academy Award winners, 2 Academy Award nominees, 1 Golden Globe nominee, and 1 Emmy nominee. Also, Muhammad Ali's greatest fight looks at the boxing champion's lengthy and historic legal battle from the time he was a conscientious objector from the Vietnam War. It has some lessons that are true today. Now, movie shooting is supposed to go on until about 2 a.m. this morning, and they are in week 5 of a 6-week shoot, so there's 1 more week to go, but most of the rest of the shooting will be done in the New York City area. Live in Schenectady, Dan Levy, News Channel 13. Jim.
Thank you, Dan.